Good afternoon and welcome to this Prima and Dari Group presentation. Myself, Darren, Kascha, Junaid and Alice will be presenting to you today. It's an investigation into whether performance management has a demotivating effect on the individual. So, in terms of how the investigation was carried out, these are the activities that were involved. Basically, we looked to define performance management and motivation in a business context and what that academic definition of those things were. Look at the perception of what performance management is and how that related to the activities that took place in performance management. And then look at motivation, the theories behind motivation and how they linked into performance management. And finally, we looked to demonstrate the effects of how managers performed in the implementation of those performance management systems. And the conclusion we came to we'll present to you at the end. So what is performance management? Well, you can see a definition there by Denise there, which was in the Hutchinson book, and that's a broad range of activities that an organisation engages in to enhance the performance of the individual with the ultimate aim of improving the organisation. So in layman's terms, we're looking to improve individual performance there so it meets the objectives of the organisation. What's the common perception? Well, here's a couple of quotations here for you about what people normally think about performance management. You can see there 30% of workers felt that performance management systems help them improve performance, and 30% is not a great deal. And this could be put down to what Armstrong says here, that sometimes performance management and performance appraisal are sometimes used synonymously. Not always correctly. Here's a quick satirical look at that.
You need to get better at anticipating problems.
If I could anticipate problems, I wouldn't have agreed to work for you. You seem angry. I did not see that coming.
Okay, so that's a quick look at what people think about how a performance management interview might go. So, when we say there are differences, these are the two big contrasting differences there. You see on performance appraisal, it's a top-down assessment, so senior management will be doing to the people who work for them, and it won't be done annually. Whereas with the performance management system, it's a joint process. There's a two-way dialogue and a partnership that goes on there. It's continuous, so it'll be desk reviews and continuous feedback given. And it's in addition to the annual appraisal that's formal. So, I'll let you pass over here.
Okay.
I should go on through motivation with you.
What is motivation? Motivation is defined by Locke and Latham as internal forces that impel and external factors that act as inducements to action. These factors motivate individuals to maximise efficiency and effectiveness. This is Herzberg's two-factor theory. He divides the work environment into two groups. People are generally motivated by things that make them feel good about work. Hygiene factors are external behaviours, and that's like the performance appraisal influence, and the motivators are internal behaviours, and this is the performance management influence. Motivators produce good feelings about work, and hygiene factors, if they're not implemented properly, can result in dissatisfaction. They are equally important and they have different roles motivating the individuals, and it's a way of thinking about satisfaction and dissatisfaction at work and draws attention to job design. This is Purcell's People and Performance model, and it shows the interrelationship of the HR policies. In this, they found that organisations studied, they first had to have strong values and an inclusive culture within the organisation, and effective line managers to bring the policies and procedures to life. Both of the theories and models fit well with the view of performance management through successful organisations motivating and helping employees improve their performance.
Performance management is shown in a cycle of key elements. They start with setting goals and what you should be aiming for. Next you'll move on to feedback and review and getting praise for good work. Next is development, so what you can be doing next, and reward is next. Not just financial, so it could be promotion, it could be motivating you. Finally is teamwork and communication, so working together to help you go through, set your goals and moving forward together. An experiment was conducted, found that employees responded better to performance management, considered their managers to excel in helping their employees feel empowered and helping them with their goals, recognising achievements that they've done good in work, and taking note in them and caring about them. The result of that found that employees who gave their managers best ratings found that the performance management system much more effective compared to employees who gave their managers a below average rating.
Okay, so when looking at research, one limiting factor is the sample size of the research. Sometimes you could see that research will show the results of performance management on one organisation. So what the group did is look at larger sample sizes of research. So Wall et al. In 2009 investigated the effects of performance management systems on 17 organisations across Europe in one study. So with the hope to, with a larger sample size, to have a more accurate reflection of the results of performance management. They conducted many interviews across different levels of employees, as well as looked at historical data from the company. And the results conclusively showed that there was a positive impact, financial and non-financial, by performance management systems that they had in place versus the companies that did not have performance management systems. And the underlying reason for the increased performance was due to motivation of the employees. They went back, Wall and Quartet, in 2013, but they went back to the same 17 organisations, again carried out interviews of employees across the different levels within the organisations, and also looked at historical data to see if the effect was longer lasting. And the results are there that show that there was a higher results orientation, there was more strategic clarity, higher people quality and higher organisational quality. And again they found, when they went back the second time, that the results were all through highly motivated individuals, which was the underlying effect that came out of all the interviews. Okay, so Soman and Tuma in 2014, they did a research. They looked at, the first part of their research was literature review, and they recognised that the greatest body of evidence showed that when employees had a goal within their job role, they performed better versus those that did not. So that was their literature review of previous evidence. So then they decided to do an experiment to show, well, they have hypothesized that if the goal set is inappropriate and not smart, then it could have a negative effect. So they researched hundreds of employees within this experiment, and they showed that inappropriate goals led to the employees feeling that they had failed, which led to demotivation and a decrease in performance. So going back to what Ali showed you earlier, so it's all about appropriate goal setting that leads to the circle of collaborative work and a positive impression on the performance. When the goal setting is not two-way, i.e. from the employer and the line manager, with smart objectives so that they're measurable, we all know what smart is, then the cycle breaks and demotivation comes into play into the individual, and a decreased performance within the organisation as a reflection of the decreased performance of the individual. Okay, so the investigation established the definition of performance management, what people perceive performance management to be, and what key elements of performance management systems are.
So in summary, we go back to our original slide, and all these were the participating parts in there. If you go through all those, Kascha, there, you see that's everything's been carried out in that investigation there. And the conclusion we came to was, in summary, the research and evidence gathered in the investigation supports the conclusion that performance management can have a demotivating effect on the individual when it's implemented ineffectively. However, when implemented appropriately and as part of a two-way partnership, it can have a positive motivational effect on the individual. So that's the end of our presentation. Thank you very much, and we welcome any questions.
Thank you guys that you have been mostly cooperating, okay? Although some are having a little giggling or whatever, okay? But don't do it anymore. Now, any questions for this team? Yes? Come on, go ahead.
It's not a question, it's just a compliment.
Yes.
It's really informative. We're studying.
Yeah, actually, I learned a lot about performance management from you guys.
Yeah, one of the reasons we chose this topic out of the list was
Yes.
the fact that we were studying it. We'd benefit from reading about it,
Yes.
and then hopefully you guys too would benefit.
Very good. I learned a lot today from this presentation. Well done. And then I have to say one thing. You were arguing about which groups to do first and last. But this is a good example. The first group, tell you what, they did really well. You have a lot to catch up. So more time doesn't mean that you will deliver better results. I don't think you can do any better, okay?
I think Beaumont's got a good one as well.
Darren, why always me?
Okay, now.
I'm helping you here.
I'm just giving you guys more pressure, okay? Now,
Yeah.
but one thing I have a comment, okay, a comment to make. At the end, when you draw your conclusion, can I see the reference list? Is it at the back? Very.
Yeah.
And then also that's reference list, right? Very good. Now, but going back to the summary page, yes, the slide summary. I would like to see you support your summary, that paragraph, that the third
The next
bottom
down.
one. Yes, yes.
Yeah, the conclusion.
The conclusion, I would like to see that conclusion supported by academic evidence, okay? That support that conclusion you make, okay?
But then, isn't that supported from what everything we've just been saying?
That is exactly what I said. It supported it, but you don't expect people to go back to look at everything, okay?
Okay.
You see what I mean? Don't expect people will go back to trace through what you have just said, okay? So if you can, in this, it just doesn't take you much time.
So if one of those references was in there.
If you say supported by whatever, whoever, okay? In summary, we draw this conclusion, okay? So that will make it better. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Agree?
Yeah.
All right?
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you once again.